Yo folks, happy day. My name is Aram Mott and I'm a certified mental health coordinator and intimacy coordinator, and welcome to day one of our 7-day series on navigating conflict on set. And I'm so glad that you're here. So this series was created because time and time again I've seen how difficult and have been told how difficult it is to address harmful behavior on set. So whether it's someone making an inappropriate comment or dismissing a colleague's concerns or using their position to shut down others, navigating these moments can feel overwhelming, especially when power dynamics are at play. And I've done enough workshops now where I ask folks, what is one thing that they really want to take away? And often skills around this kind of navigating challenging conversations on set is always something that comes up or has come up repeatedly enough in the last 5 workshops that I'm done that I was like, oh, I've added it into the workshop, and now I thought we'd do a 7-part series on it. So again, many people, and myself has been included in this, hesitate to speak up because we don't want to cause conflict. We don't want to risk our jobs or be seen as difficult. Others simply because we don't know what to say in the moment. And that's why this series exists, to give you the tools and the confidence to navigate these situations effectively and with care. So over the next 7 days, we're going to cover practical techniques to interrupt bias, set boundaries, and create a culture of respect on set. And today, we're going to start with an essential skill, knowing when to call out and when to call in. So, Arm, what's the difference between calling out and calling in? Because both have value, but they serve different purposes. And I think a lot of times we often say, no, we can't call people out, we have to call people in. And I'll repeat the sentence again, both have value, but they serve different purposes. The key is knowing when to use each one. So calling out, a great purpose to when to use that is like an immediate intervention to stop harm. It's best used when someone's words or actions are clearly inappropriate and need to be addressed right away. So some examples that you could use is simply stop, that's offensive, or that's offensive, stop. Another one that you can use is, I need to push back on that comment. I need to push back against that comment. And another one that you can use is, I don't find that funny. Can you explain why you think that is? Now, calling out works best when there's an urgent need to stop harm in the moment. The behavior is repeated despite previous feedback, or when there's a clear violation of respect, safety, or boundaries. Again, I think it's important to say that calling out isn't about shaming, it's about clarity. It's about making it known that something is not okay without debate. And often folks find calling out after, as it said, maybe this person has been called in a couple of times and offered that opportunity, or it's just a moment where it's like, this behavior absolutely needs to stop. So then we're hopping to the other side. So what is calling in? A great purpose of calling in is it encourages reflection and learning. So its best use is when there's an opportunity to explore intent versus impact in a way that fosters growth. So sometimes you'll run into folks on set who that doesn't work with, and that's where the calling out or navigating, as we'll talk in another day about reporting pathways, can be really supportive. But if we're offering to call folks in, some great examples again of navigating that idea of impact versus intention. You could ask them simply, what was your intention when you said that? And they'll explain it, and maybe that can give a way to move forward or garner more information from that person. Another example could be, how do you think your words might have landed on others? And it's, again, not a yes or no question. It's an open-ended question allowing for reflection of the individual. Another example that you could use is, let's unpack the assumptions behind that statement. Again, offering a moment for unpacking something, not a yes or no question, and not using it immediately as like a shutdown. Calling in works best when the person may not realize their impact. So often, sometimes at school, I work with students who English is their second language. So sometimes, we're navigating the impact of words or language that maybe they didn't realize the impact. Again, this is for folks across the board. I just used the example of sometimes I find it at school when folks are navigating, a second language. It works really great when you want to maintain the relationship while addressing the issue. So again, continuing the relationship between the individuals, but addressing the issue at hand. And another one is the situation allows for a conversation rather than a confrontation. So we're able to make space for a conversation. So calling in creates space for people to recognize and correct their mistakes without feeling defensive or dismissed. It's calling them in, it's giving them an opportunity to change. Scientifically, why this is calling in can be great as well is often when someone calls us out, we can go into our body can go into a more defensive mode. And so often if we want to have that opportunity to engage in that further dialogue around intention versus impact, calling in can be really supportive because again, we're not putting our bodies in a situation where they're going on a defensive. Great. So going back to kind of that calling in and like when to use which one, there's no perfect formula. I'm here to tell you that. I'm here to say I've experienced that. But here are some guiding questions to help you decide, and they often help me decide. So number one is harm happening right now? If yes, then calling out may be needed. Number two, is this a pattern or a one-time mistake? Is this something you've seen the person do often, or is this like a first-time occurrence? So calling in can be more effective for first-time misunderstandings. Again, it's allowing that moment for intention versus impact. Number three, something to consider. Does this person hold power over you? If yes, consider seeking allies or formal reporting pathways, which again, will gather in over these next 7 days. And number four, what's your emotional bandwidth? If you're exhausted or unsafe, it's okay to step back and let someone else handle it. It's okay to then maybe navigate garnering someone else to call that person in later. So call to action for today. What can you practice today? So I want to give things that folks can take away. So number one, identify one phrase you're comfortable using for calling out and one for calling in. So example, that doesn't sit right with me. That's a calling out or a calling in. Can we talk about that comment? Number two, reflect on a past moment where you wish you had spoken up. What could you have said or done differently? Again, what this is doing is putting yourself in a context without actually putting your body in that heightened situation. So you can put yourself again in that imaginary context and think about what you could have done differently. If you can't think of a moment, again, make one up and then navigate what you might say in that moment. And number three, if you're comfortable, have a practice conversation with a friend or a colleague. Role play a situation where you need to call someone in or out. Again, why this is really supportive is because we're allowing neurological pathways and knowledge to be formed when our body is not in that high stress or nerve-wracking situation, which sometimes we are in when we're calling someone in or calling someone out. So I just want to offer that folks remember these skills take practice and you don't have to get it perfect every time. The important thing is to start trying, to notice what biases or harm is happening, and to trust that small interventions can create big cultural shifts, especially on set. So tomorrow we'll go deeper into how to interrupt bias effectively. So stay tuned. Thanks for being here today, and let me know in the comments or messages if you have any questions or personal experience you'd like to share. With that, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining.